What is going to be in my first column? My numbers. 3 what? Good. Y'all remember columns are vertical, rows are horizontal. What about my next column? Good. Next. And then make sure that you draw this line indicating that these are our solutions on this side. What goes right here? Alright, y'all are going to help me with these. Y'all are going to be making the decisions today on what you want to do. Remember that this matrices, this 3 by 3, we want to make it look like the identity matrix. So here's our goal up here. What's the first column of the identity matrix?
1, 0.
Next.
0, 1, 0.
And
0, 0, 1.
so we're solving this system by using matrices. We're trying to get this to look like this. And remember where we start? It's going to be this spot right here. I want this to be a 1. So somebody give me a suggestion. I'm letting y'all make the rules today about how to do.
You can flip row 1 and row 3.
Okay, so flip these two. Good, that'll put 1 in that spot. So here's what you do. You'll write the row operation here. You're going to swap row 1 and row 3. This is how you write it. So tell me what my new matrices will look like, this first row. 1 what? 1, 3, 2, 25. Good. Again, I just placed row 3 at row 1. Will row 2 change?
No.
Nope. And then row 1 instead will go down here, and it'll be 3, 1, 2, 31. So people who weren't here Friday, all we're doing is swapping all the numbers that were in row 1, putting it in row 3, swapping all these numbers, putting it up here, because we want a 1 to be in this spot. So we've taken care of that one. I'm going to circle it, because we've taken care of it. What do we want to do next? Yes, we need to make this be a 0. Right now it's a 1. So what do you want to do? No, we can't multiply equations by 0. Subtract these 2 rows? That'd be a good idea, but Darren, what's 3 minus 1? We don't want a 2 here, we want a 0. Yes, very good idea. So we are changing which row? So we put R2. And what are we doing again? So row 2 minus row 1. Sounds good? We're subtracting row 2 minus row 1. So row 1 and row 3 stay the same. You can go ahead and rewrite those. Those numbers don't change. They're the same as the one directly before. Alright, starting with row 2 minus row 1. What's the first number in row 2?
1.
First number here? Good, so 1 minus 1 is 0. Moving along, we got 1 minus 3. Yes. Then we got 2 minus 2.
0.
So you pick the numbers here. 1 minus 1, 1 minus 3, 2 minus 2. 19 minus 25. Does everybody see where we got those numbers?
Okay, we got 2 here.
Alright, we're done with these two. What's the next one we want to make?
0.
The last 0 right here. Right now it's a what?
3.
We want to make it a 0. What do y'all suggest? Alright, now we can't do anything with this because it has a 0 right here. So we know it has to be something with row 3 and row 1. Good. You can subtract, if we make this a what? 3, we can subtract it from here. And 3 minus 3 would be 0, right? Everybody see that? If we make this one of negative 3 or 3, just depending. No. We do. We're not changing this. We're changing what row? Row 3. Let's go ahead and put that. Row 3. And here's our two options. We can do 3 minus 3 row 1. 3 minus 3, right? 3 minus 3 would be 0.
Oh.
Or we can multiply everything in here by negative 3 and add it to this. Do y'all want to add or subtract? Add or subtract?
Subtract.
Okay. So we'll do row 3 minus 3 row 1. Write it down first. Row 3 minus 3 row 1. Yes. Very good. I know this is a lot different for y'all, so you just got to stick with me. You just got to be open-minded.
Just gotta stick with you.
Yeah. I'm going to multiply everything in row 1 times 3. Negative 3, actually. So like negative 3 times 1 would be negative 3, right? Then I add it to this. This will become what? 0. Alright? So write row 1 and row 2 the same. Row 3 is the only one we're changing. So these numbers stay the same and row 2 stays the same. Okay. We already established this is going to be what? Now let's go back and look. We'll give y'all, hold on. So we're multiplying everything in row 1 by 3. Okay? So going back up here, 3 times 3. Yes. So what's 1 minus 9?
Negative.
Close. Negative 8. Going back over here. Again, what's 2 times 3? 2 minus 6.
Negative 4.
Good.
Wait, 26.
Mm-hmm. Alright, going back again. This times 3?
75.
What's 31 minus 75? You can use your calculator. What is it?
Negative 44.
Good. Alright, making progress. The next thing we want to do is make this middle number be 1. Right now it's what?
Negative 2.
Okay, suggestions?
Subtract 3 minus from row 1 and row 2. Negative 2. Like,
Simpler.
subtract 3 minus 2.
Yeah, Mackenzie said divide everything in this row by negative 2. Wouldn't that be easy to do? The reason it's easy is because all of these are divisible by 2. Does everybody see that? All of these numbers in row 2 are divisible by 2. We want this to be what? So we need to divide it by negative 2. Good. We're dividing everything in row 2 by negative 2. And I want to tell y'all it's okay to have fractions in these problems, but it's not, y'all hate fractions and it's harder to deal with. So if you can, avoid fractions, but if not, it's okay. Leave everything in row 1 the same and row 3 the same. Alright, when we divide all of these numbers in row 2 by 2, tell me what we'll get. Negative 2, excuse me. Perfect. Make sure that when y'all are working these that you're putting this part, because when you're looking back over your notes for your quiz, you're going to need to remember what you did from one step to another. Alright, done with that one. Now we want to make this be 0. Or this be 1, either one. Alright, suggestions for row 3 to make this 0, make this 1.
Can we divide it by negative 8 again?
We could divide this by negative 8, but won't we have fractions here? Which is okay, but y'all want to deal with fractions. Okay? What do you notice that all these have in common? 4, right?
Yeah.
We could take that out, make it easier.
Should we do negative 4?
So we could divide everything by negative 4. Make these numbers smaller. So row 3 divided by negative 4. Leave row 1 and row 2 the same then. So this last row would be what?
0.
Good. And 11. Good. Now it looks simpler. Okay, just keep in mind, we just need this to be a 0, right?
Yeah.
But we don't want to change these two numbers.
You want to be 0.
What row could help us out with that?
The second row.
The second one, right?
Multiply by 2.
So to make this a 0 right here, we just need to multiply this by,
1.
say it again, Victor? Not just 2, but
Negative.
-2. Everybody see that? We want to cancel this number out. So what do we multiply this by? -2. So that way when we add them, it'll give us what right here? 0.
So you don't find row 3 by -2.
I'm multiplying this one, this whole row by -2, and then I'm going to add it to this one. Because what's 0 times -2?
0.
So it won't change this one. Everybody see that? Or this one, just this one.
You
Good.
could do a positive 2 and just subtract it.
Yeah. All right.
I can see this one.
So we are changing which row? Row 3. By multiplying which row?
Row 2
By,
by
you got it, not 2. I mean, you could.
negative 2.
-2, row 2 plus row 3. That means I'm multiplying everything in row 2 by -2, then adding it to this. Stay with me. The way to be good at this is to not think about how hard it is, just think about the next step. Don't focus on all the work, just focus on one thing at a time. Alright, so I'm leaving row 1 and row 2 the same. I'm only changing row 3. Stay with me. So -2 times this number plus this, still 0. -2 times this number, -2 plus 2. -2 times this number, plus 1. Good. -2 times this number, -6, right? -6 plus 11. Good. Alright, the only two numbers we have left to change right here is what? 3 and 2. We need to make this a what? Nope. 0. And this one a 0, correct? So let's focus on the 3 first. What's the only row that could help us out? Row 2. What do I need to multiply this by to cancel out this? Yes, y'all getting it now.
Multiply by 3, right?
Not 3. I mean, you could, but you'll have to subtract. Think about elimination. We want this to be a what? No.
Just want the top. You want the top.
Yes, by multiplying this by what? -3. Good. So which row are we changing again? Row 1. By multiplying what row? Row 2 by what? Yes. And adding it to row 1. So leave row 2 and 3 the same.
So you multiply everything by -3.
Yes. Alright. You said wait. Okay. Yeah, if I'm ever moving too fast, y'all just tell me, will you slow down, or can you go back, or can you hold on? Yeah. To this part? Okay. You want me to zoom out some? Can everybody see when I zoom out, like all the numbers back there? Y'all can see? Okay. Alright, so -3 times row 2. So this will be what? 0 plus 1 will be? Good. -3 times this number? Plus 3? Good. -3 times this number? Plus 2? -3 times this number? So what's 25 minus 9? Good. Alright, almost there. Only one we need to change is what? To a what? So look in that column. What's the only row that can help us? The third row. We need to multiply it by what? Nope. -2. Everybody see why? Alright, let's go back then.
Multiply by -2, you can add it.
Yes, very good. Alright, so we're changing what row? We're going to multiply what? 2 by row 3 and add it to row 1. It's coming along.
So row 2 stays the same.
So row 2 and row 3 stay the same. They're good to go. Alright. The next row we have negative 2 times 0, which is what?
0.
Plus 1. Alright, negative 2 times 0 plus 0. Negative 2 times 1 plus 2. Negative 2 times 5. Negative 10 plus 16, excuse me. Very good. Alright, you can see this is the identity matrix. This means we're done. We have solved for x, y, and z. What is x? And y? And z. And how could I check this if I wanted to? Plug them into any of these. We'll be good. I'll go back. Alright. People who weren't here on Friday, this is your first example, so it's normal for you to feel kind of overwhelmed. That's how they felt Friday. People who were here Friday, do you feel a little bit better?
No.
No? Okay, we'll do another one together. I saw 2 yeses, thank you.
I don't feel any better than I did because they am.
Alright, take a deep breath. Let's start another one. If you do feel comfortable to try one on your own, go ahead and work ahead. Okay? So we'll get the same thing. Okie dokie. Kaya, go ahead and tell me how to write this as a matrix starting with columns. Good. Next column. Next. Next. Good. Yes. Say that again. Vertical is column. Rows are horizontal. You can think because row and horizontal both have an O in them. Right? Alright. This one's nice because this one's already here. What do we focus on next? Changing the what number? 2 to a what? Alright, any suggestions? Yes. Okay, so this one's already negative. We just have to multiply this number by what to cancel these out? 2. So what row are we changing? No.
2.
And we are multiplying what row?
Row 3.
By what? Negative 2? Good. 2 row 3 plus what? Row 2. Alright. So the rows that are staying the same are row 1 and 3. Go ahead and just write those like you see them. So people who aren't here Friday, what's under here is the row we're changing. The other rows you just write them like you see them. Alright. Now starting with this one. What's 2 times this number? Plus this? 2 times this number? Minus 1. 2 times this number? Plus 1. Nah. Plus 1. 5. Good. That's one more thing about this. If you mess up on one number, it's going to throw off your entire matrix. On your quiz and on your homework, you will not have fraction answers. It'll be nice, pretty answers. So if you mess up on one little thing, like if we put a 3, like Antonio said, instead of a 5, the whole thing would have been thrown off. So make sure you go back and check what you're doing, okay? Alright, row 3, this times 2 would be what? Plus 5? Good. Just finishing up that one. What's the next number we want to change here? This negative 1 to a what? Any suggestions? Yes, not by negative 1. When you're looking to get rid of this, you look at the rows. This one can't help you because that's a 0. You can just do what with these two? Add them. So we're changing row what? By adding, yes, So I'm going to leave row 2 and 1 the same. I can go ahead and rewrite them. Alright. So now I'm looking here. 1 plus negative 1. Good. 1 plus 2. The next numbers added together would be what? Good. The last one? Good. Looking good. Yeah. You're just adding these numbers together. So 1 minus 1 is 0. 1 plus 2 is 3. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. What number do we need to change next? The 3. The middle. So you go down the first column, then you want to change this middle one, which is 3. It needs to be a what? A 1. Any suggestions?
Wait.
You could divide by what? To make this a 1, you'd have to divide by
Negative
3. And you could do that, but then you'd have what? 5 over 3 and 7 over 3.
Did you multiply?
Divide by what? So divide this by this. Yes, but then we'd have like 1 over 5, negative 1 over 7.
Multiply row 2 by 1 and divide it.
Y'all are thinking too hard. Okay, let's look back at these two numbers, okay? This one cannot help us. They have the same number. They're the same number that can't help us. It has to be this 1 to help us.
Multiply by negative 2.
Yes, multiply this by 2, and then you'd have 3 minus 2, which is what? 1. That's what we need. Everybody see that? Multiplying this 1 by negative 2, then adding these would be 3 minus 2, which is 1. Let's do it. Alright, remind me which row are we changing?
2.
We're going to multiply row 1 by what?
Row 1 by
Yes. Negative 2 row 1 plus. Yes. Actually, this is going to set us back, but we'll just get back to it. It's fine.
what?
You'll see. Alright, go ahead and do row 1 and row 3 the same. Y'all want me to save y'all some heartbreak, or would you rather just go with it? Okay. Alright, this suggestion y'all said was good, but what else is this going to change besides this number?
0.
Yes. Do we want to change this 0? Nope. We don't want to go backwards. You get what I'm saying? If you did negative 2 row 1 plus row 2, that's going to be like negative 2 plus this. This is going to change this to a negative 2. So maybe we do have to do a fractions in this one. Let's see what I did. Yeah, there's a few fractions, but they're easy. Kaya, didn't you say you wanted to divide this by 3? Let's do it. Alright, so we're changing row 2 by dividing it by what? Yes. Don't worry, the fractions will go away. Alright, so row 1 and 3 stay the same. If we divide these by 3, tell me what the first one will give us. Next. Next. And 7/3. Don't change them to decimals because they'll cancel out if you leave them as fractions. I mean, they would if you did decimals too, but it's easier to do it this way. Alright, the next number we need to change is what? Yeah, we need to put a 0 right here. Any suggestions?
Multiply by negative?
That gives us negative 9 right here.
Multiply row 2 by negative 3.
Good, and add it to it. And the reason she knew this is because we don't want to change this 0, right? So we can't use row 1. Have to use this, multiply this by what to cancel this out? Negative 3. So we're changing which row? By multiplying what by what? Good. And adding it to row 3. And I know it looks messy with the fractions, but see how there's a 3 on top, 3 on bottom here? See how it's going to cancel the fractions out? Alright, leave row 1 and 2 the same. And let's do our arithmetic. Negative 3 times 0 plus 0. Negative 3 times 1 plus 3. Okay. Now we're right here. What's negative 3 times 5 over 3? Negative 5. Does everybody see that? If you don't, think of this as 3 over 1. What's negative 3 times 5? Negative 15 divided by 3 would be? Good. Negative 5. So the 3's cancel out. You'll have negative 5. Negative 5 plus 1 will be what? Almost. Negative 4. Stay with me. These are, the 3's will cancel out here also, and you'll have what left? Negative 21 over 3, which is negative 7. Negative 7 plus negative 1? Very good. Almost there. We are. Alright, I see that we can easily make this a 1 right here by doing what? Dividing all of this by negative 4. So let's do row 3 divided by negative 4. Okay. So I'm not changing row 2 or row 1. But when I divide row 3, all of this by negative 4, I'll have 0, 0, 1, 2. Good. 0, 0, 1, 2. Alright, well, we know we have to change this 5 over 3, this 1, this negative 1. Now the order really doesn't matter. Which one do y'all want to change? We have to make it a what? 0. Okay. Now look at this. Row 1 can't help us because we don't want to change all of this. The only one we can use is what? Row 3. I'm trying to make this a what?
0.
So I have to multiply this by? Not just 5 over 3. Negative 5 over 3. Everybody see that? Alright, so we're changing which row? Row 2 by multiplying what by what? Times row 3, good, plus row 2. Alright, so I'm leaving row 1 the same and row 3 the same. Alright, let's get to work. This times negative 5 over 3 plus 0. This times negative 5 over 3 plus 1. Good. This times 5 over 3 or negative 5 over 3 plus this. What's going to be right here?
0.
Good. Alright. Here's a little tricky, but it works out good. 2 times negative 5 is what? So we have negative 10 over 3. Again, that comes from 2 times negative 5 over 3 plus 7 over 3. It'd be negative 3 over 3. Everybody see that? Which is what? Negative 1. See how the fractions went away? They aren't so scary. No, we're not done. This is not the identity matrix. We just have to change 2 more numbers. Which one y'all want to do first? Alright, the only row that can help us here? No. That's a 0. Yeah, it has to be the second row. That's the only one without a 0 in it. So we can just do what with these 2? Subtract. So we're changing row 1 by doing what? Good. So all the other rows I'm leaving the same, row 2 and row 3. Alright, 1 minus 0. Next one would be what? Next. Next. Somebody said it. Remember, it's -2, row 1, minus -1. It's going to give us what? Alright, y'all make me proud. What's the last thing we have to do? So how do we do that? Good. Add row 1 and row 3. Because that would cancel this out. Everybody see that? Alright. So final answer. Again, row 2 and row 3 stay the same. We're done with those. Now let's add row 1 and 3. First number is going to be what? Next. 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 Last one. Good. So X is, Y is, Z is. Good. Did anybody get this ahead of time, like before, like on their own? Victor, did you get it?
Yes.
Okay. Did you get it? Alright, we'll start here tomorrow.